All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. I know, I feel like we should scoot the podium a little closer that way, but we're excited to be here today to just reflect a little bit on one of our favorites as a community, Delano Garcia. And so we're going to hear from a couple of speakers today. And what I want to do is, I think, first, bring up some folks who wanted to share a few words, because I know, as I shared with everyone, our plaque is on the way. We had a little bit of a scheduling issue with the guy who was supposed to bring it, but the good news is it's getting close. So we should have that by the end of our speaking. But why don't we start with our some of our elected officials that are here, and I think each of you know these folks, but let's start with Area State Senator and Majority Whip Michael Padilla. Cat's here with you.
I know. Thank you, Mayor.
Got it. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much to Mayor Keller. Can we please just, he knew, and I'm sure he'll say a lot more about Delano later, but I know that they had a very special relationship, and I just want you to know, Mayor, that we're all behind you. We are behind you 100% in this neighborhood. Yes, we are. And I also want to say a little bit about Delano this morning. I was talking to the family a little while ago, his brothers, his sisters, Mrs. Garcia, thank you so much for lending him to us for all of those years. A true South Valley treasure, a town father, just a number of things we could say about Delano, right? And personally, I just want to tell a couple of personal stories. I have that giant matanza in the South Valley, every year. And we have about 2,300, 2,500, 3,000 people there sometimes. And you'll never guess who made all the chile. That was Delano, He would bring his equipment out there, and Tata Del's is what it was called. Tata, and I was looking this morning for pictures of him in my phone and on Facebook and this and that, and he's right there in every one of those pictures, hand cranking sometimes that thing, and he would say, Padilla, it's not working, but don't worry, I'll get a couple of guys to come help me. And he would stand over them and he would tell them, you got to crank that thing faster, and so that was the kind of man that Delano was. Anything he agreed to do, I think we'll all agree, he did very, very well. Do you agree? I mean, I miss him so much. So he was the chilero at that matanza. But if you look all the way back in the history of his public service as a state representative, as a member of our Democratic Party, any number of other things, he was absolutely a leader and a treasure to all of us. And whether it was 5 in the morning or 9 o'clock at night, and he would call me just spitting nails, watching something on the news, and he wanted me to do something the very next day, I knew that if I didn't do it, I was going to have to deal with Delano. And so he was just a really, really wonderful human being, and he's touched so many different lives. I know we have grandbabies here, and we have cousins and brothers and sisters, and his sweetheart over there just smiling all the time and supporting him, so thank you. He told me the story of how he thought it was super important to remodel your home by hand, and then also other homes that he did for the family and stuff like that. So I could just go on and on about Delano because he was such a treasure to all of us. And when I found the picture, one of the pictures of him, I saw he was wearing one of Sylvester's yellow t-shirts. Remember that, Sylvester? Yeah. Those two were together all the time, and they were just really, really good buddies. So whatever he's doing right now, I'm sure he's organizing it up there in heaven and doing what he needs to do, and he'll always be in our hearts. So thank you very much. I'm Senator Michael Padilla. Thank you for allowing me to join you today.
Thank you so much, Senator. And the other elected official now in the area also, of course, has known Delano a long time, and we want to bring up Frank Baca, your county commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor, for organizing this event. You told me about it about a year ago, and I was delighted to hear that this was occurring. Delano was truly one of my best friends, and hope I don't get too emotional because I do miss him. But there's so much to be said about Delano, but I'm going to break it down into 3 categories. One, as a father, he was so proud of his girls. He was so proud of his girls, and he talked about their accomplishments in high school and in college. He was such a proud father. And they've done so well, and he is continuing to be proud of him and his family. The other thing I'd like to talk about is Delano as a craftsman. I don't know if anybody's ever seen his resume. he has gone to more classes in trade school than anybody I've ever known. There were like 20 pages full of things. Delano could fix anything, repair anything. He enjoyed it. He was good at it. I've had him work at my house. And he was a true craftsman. Oh, I just forgot, I had to mention that, Vivian, Teresa, and Cynthia all at one point in time or another babysat my 3 kids. They did a great job because they were hard. They were not easy. And then the final thing, and Michael, Senator P has already touched on, is Delano as a politician. You know, I don't know of a person that was more honest. I don't know of a person that was more hardworking. And as the senator said, if he said he was going to do something, he would follow through on it. Every time I ran for county commission, which was several before I finally won, he was there to support me every time, morally, financially, with his time. And I'm saddened that he's not here to see that I finally made it after several tries, but I know he's here with us, you know, in spirit. But I don't know of a better human being, to be honest with you, and I do miss him. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner. Well, thank you so much, Commissioner. And I know we're, I think, gonna hear from Vivian next, but I'll share a few remarks now as our plaque arrives, which is just in time. It's like the introductory ceremony. Good job, Kenny. So we'll be excited we can unveil that right after. So, you know, I think a couple of things that I want to share. Not to talk about like age, I'm a little younger than Delano, and you know, he early on, and I don't actually know why. It could have been because of Sylvester. You know, he reached out to me in also a classic way. It was very unassuming. And he was just like, I'm Delano, I want to teach you about politics. And this was, you know, I was in the Senate with Senator Padilla, so this was now actually 18 years ago. It's hard to believe. And he was, and a lot of people throw the word mentor around casually. He really was my mentor. Because the funny thing is he did teach me about politics and about New Mexico and about Albuquerque. And I was born and raised here, but obviously did not quite have the sort of whole state perspective that any legislator learns, let alone someone from Vegas and then in the South Valley. And, you know, he was always so gentle about it, but he'd always rib me a little bit. You know, he's like, you're the Wedo from the Heights. We got to talk to you. You know, he's like, and he would dish out the truth. And, but he always did it in such a supportive way, you know, in a sense of people are not always that way. And, for some reason, you know, he like kind of believed in me from early on. And he was one of the first people that I ever knew that I didn't know like before politics, right? Because you have your friends and your family and they support you, right? That's what we do. But for whatever reason, we kind of hit it off. And so he was the phone call in tough times that I would make and get his advice, whether it was particularly on an issue, how a campaign was going to shake out, what I was thinking about doing next, how I could help Albuquerque. And so he was, you know, had so much integrity too. I never had to worry about the gossip getting out, or I could actually just ask him straightforward questions, also very rare in politics. And he would give me straightforward answers. And sometimes he would say, well, I'm going to ask my neighbors. And because I know he loved his street and he loved, of course, Sylvester, but he'd even like poll his community and they'd get back to me. And he's like, well, here's what people think. And that was so important for me all along. But it's just something that I'll never forget. And he also, our essentially journey started publicly together because I knew him for quite a while before I ran for mayor. But when I ran for mayor, he was like, we're going to do something in Valley Gardens for you. And some of you were here. In fact, Commissioner Vaca was here. We had an event right here in this exact same space. I did notice the picnic tables have not changed. We're going to work on those. But what has changed is we all talked about how one day the mayor should actually invest again in this park. And what you see, because of his clear message, but also it was true, this park hadn't been touched in decades. So we added the shade structures on that playground, and then of course this pavilion right here, which replaced the very much dilapidated and falling apart one where we had our first event. And so I know he would get a kick out of that, because he would, that's just the exercise machine. Needs a little oil there too. But he would get a kick out of the fact that, one, we finally got this done, which he would love. And he would also tease me for it taking 7 years to do. So I think of him often, and I like to think his guidance is still with all of us. And I know too that the Matanza story that he shared, he helped me, you got to stir properly. And we went through the wood versus the steel, paddle. And this was like a huge thing. And we laughed forever about, one time I got my picture properly stirring some chicharrones. And I owe all of that to Delano. I was not ridiculed on Joe Monahan. Some of you, the politicos, all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so it's an honor for me. And of course, he loved his family, as we've heard. And a prerequisite for having coffee with Delano was learning about all of your lives and what you were up to, catching up on kids, grandkids. And to me, too, now with young kids and an extended family, great uncle and so forth, all living here, that is truly also what brings us together. And that's why I'm really humbled to see so many family members here, even today. And we know that we love Delano, and he's looking down on us with a smile and with a witty joke or two, and some teasing, some ribbon to go along with it. So with that, let's hear from his daughter, Vivian. Come on up. Let's give her a round of applause. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Vivian Lotta, for those of you that don't know me, but I think I know everybody here. I'm Delano's favorite middle daughter, as he used to say, but all his daughters were his favorite. On behalf of my family, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out today and supporting my father. This event, thank you for everyone who made this event possible. My dad was very proud that he lived in the South Valley for many years and served as state representative for 2 terms. He always fought for his community and always tried to make a difference in people's lives in this area, but not just in this area, but everywhere. Sorry, I got a little emotional. So, whenever you hear my dad's name, just remember his legacy, remember everything he did for everyone in the South Valley, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much, Vivian. And what we did want to do is also reflect, most folks here know about all the things that he did. I think, there are leaders who have a certain humility, and he was certainly one of them, where, he never would have asked for any commemoration of any kind. And also, what happens when you are a humble leader, there usually ends up being no commemoration of any kind. And so that's also why I wanted to do this, because we have a project at the city called The Stories of Us. And it is designed exactly to do this. It is designed to tell the stories of leaders in our community, or people who've just made an impact, sometimes just in their local neighborhood, and sometimes on a much bigger scale, like Delano. And we want to do that. We know that he didn't want us to do this, but we do it for everyone else, for everyone who plays in this park, for every family that has a birthday party here. We all need role models. We all need inspiration, and we all need to know the people who made places like this possible. And so that's what the Stories of Us is all about. And so we've done this in dozens of places around the city. But I think especially important is to remember some of the things of his remarkable life that shaped our community. And of course, he was a proud veteran. That was something you also learned right away. and is the son of a veteran. Certainly, that's part of my family's history too. But for Delano and the Air Force, it was also tied to our city in the connection between the veteran community for all of New Mexico, also up in Vegas and all of our communities, and the sacrifice that our state in general has made disproportionately much, much higher than I would argue any other state. And this was another thread of that Delano history that you would learn when you talk to him, is the connection between the military and service and our state and its history, and how that dedication and that stepping up for service was made, even despite our history and some of the challenges we've had, whether it's our Native American communities or issues in our own history, of course, with colonization and so forth. And that was something he was always very proud of, particularly not just that he served, but he was a New Mexican who served and what that meant. And then, of course, as a lawmaker, his focus on children and seniors and healthcare and fair housing. These were all things that back in the late 90s, they were not necessarily in vogue. Those were things that at the time we were dealing with sprawl issues. It was a very different world politically. And there were very few legislators who had the courage to stand up for those in need, because that wasn't, we were all talking about, growing the economy and all of these things in that era. And thank goodness he and others did, because what he set up was he made sure that we didn't skip a generation when it came to education and early childhood. And in that era, I think that was definitely at risk. I do remember those days, and it was very much pushing back against, whether it's the big corporations or whether it was all of the growth out on the west side, Intel. That was the era, right, where he said, no, we need to have early childhood care and education centers in the heart of the metro, in the heart of the South Valley and of Albuquerque and our older communities. And that's when he helped, through his capital outlay, fund dozens of early childhood and family centers in this area, including one which my daughter now goes to, which is Dennis Chavez. And so there were a group of legislators who were part of that. But he was certainly at the forefront, saying that now is the time to invest in our older communities while we're growing in other parts of the city, not wait, right? Because then those communities get hollowed out. And so, of course, I think we all experienced his compassion and his leadership and his connection to the community. And so today we are renaming this pavilion in honor of Delano Garcia. So thank you. So I think we should do it's a beautiful day. The weather is great. Our ceremonial plaque is behind you all. Why don't we migrate for a wonderful unveiling just right over there? Let's do while we stand by. Yeah. So I failed to mention this, so we're going to have some taps in honor of him and his service too. So obviously taps is a little somber. So why don't we do that, and we'll reflect on Delano a little bit, but then we're going to celebrate the unveiling. Okay, so if you want some shade, get back in the shade, and we're cueing the taps. Yeah. So family, friends, let's all gather around here.
Hey, Mayor. Mrs. Garcia.
Yes, of course, Mrs. Garcia. Come on up. You want to help me unveil it? And Vivian, or come on around this side, like over here, because then they'll get a nice picture there. And whoever wants to be up front, join in. We'll do a countdown. Yeah, if you guys want to scoot up. Yeah. And senators or commissioners, whoever would like to join, feel free to come on up. Yeah. I mean, literally everyone can come be in the picture if you want. And so we should do a countdown here. So let's do just 3 backwards. Are you ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. There we go. All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for coming, everybody.
Awesome.
And we will be returning here too if anyone's interested. The community also wanted some kind of commemorations to different people in the neighborhood, and those are going to go underneath the plaque. So it's going to be like the community in Delano. So it's going to be a beautiful thing in the end. Cool. So that's coming in about a month or so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Well,
doing it.
You got it, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.